The region known as Palestine holds deep religious significance for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, making it a land of immense historical and spiritual importance. For Jews, this land is their biblical homeland, the land of Israel promised by God to Abraham and his descendants. It is the place where their patriarchs lived, their kings ruled, and their temples stood. For Christians, Palestine is the Holy Land where Jesus Christ was born, lived, and was crucified. Sites like Bethlehem, Nazareth, and Jerusalem are central to Christian faith and pilgrimage. The region represents the tangible connection to the life and teachings of Jesus. Islam, which emerged in the 7th century, also recognizes the significance of Palestine. Jerusalem is considered the third holiest city in Islam, after Mecca and Medina. The Prophet Muhammad's night journey to heaven, known as the Isra and Miraj, is believed to have originated from Jerusalem, solidifying its importance in Islamic tradition. In the 1st century AD, the Roman Empire conquered Judea, the region encompassing ancient Israel. This conquest led to significant changes in the lives of the Jewish people. Following a series of revolts against Roman rule, the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD, a pivotal event in Jewish history. The destruction of the temple and subsequent Roman policies led to the displacement of a large portion of the Jewish population, marking the beginning of the Jewish diaspora. Scattered throughout the Roman Empire and beyond, Jews maintained their religious and cultural identity while living as minorities in various lands. Despite their dispersal, the land of Israel retained a central role in Jewish consciousness and religious practice. The yearning to return to Zion, the biblical name for Jerusalem and the land of Israel, became a central theme in Jewish prayers and literature throughout the centuries. In the 7th century AD, a new force emerged in the Middle East, Islam. The Prophet Muhammad's followers, the Muslims, conquered vast territories, including Palestine, bringing the region under Islamic rule. Jerusalem, already sacred to Jews and Christians, acquired a new layer of religious significance for Muslims. Islamic tradition holds that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven from the site in Jerusalem, where the Dome of the Rock now stands. This event, known as the Isra and Miraj, cemented Jerusalem's place as one of the holiest cities in Islam. Under Muslim rule, which spanned several centuries, Jews, Christians, and Muslims coexisted in Palestine. While periods of conflict and tension existed, the region experienced relative peace and tolerance for extended periods. For centuries, from the 16th century until the early 20th century, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. During this period, the region was home to a diverse population of Muslims, Jews, and Christians living under Ottoman rule. While not without its challenges, this era was marked by a degree of coexistence and shared existence among the different religious communities. The Ottoman Empire, a vast and multicultural entity, governed its diverse subjects through a system known as the millet system. This system granted a degree of autonomy to various religious communities within the empire, allowing them to manage their own internal affairs and maintain their religious and cultural practices. However, the late 19th century witnessed the rise of nationalism in Europe, which had profound implications for the Ottoman Empire and the future of Palestine. Jewish nationalism, known as Zionism, emerged as a response to anti-Semitism in Europe, advocating for the establishment of a Jewish state in their ancient homeland. Section 5. Zionism, the dream of a Jewish homeland. Zionism, a political movement advocating for the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, emerged in the late 19th century as a response to rising anti-Semitism and persecution of Jews in Europe. The movement gained momentum after the Dreyfus Affair in France, a notorious case of anti-Semitism that highlighted the precarious situation of Jews in Europe. Theodor Herzl, an Austro-Hungarian journalist deeply troubled by the anti-Semitism he witnessed, is considered the father of modern political Zionism. In his influential book, The Jewish State, published in 1896, Herzl argued that the only solution to the Jewish question was the creation of an independent Jewish state. Herzl's vision resonated with many Jews facing discrimination and violence in Europe. They believed that establishing a Jewish homeland in Palestine, the land of their ancestors, offered a chance for safety, self-determination, and a brighter future. This belief fueled Jewish immigration to Palestine, which began in small numbers in the late 19th century and increased significantly in the decades that followed. Section 6. British Mandate and Rising Tensions. Following World War I and the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, the international community granted Great Britain control over Palestine under a system known as the Mandate System. The British Mandate for Palestine, established in 1920, was a complex and ultimately unsustainable endeavor. The British faced the daunting task of balancing the competing aspirations of two national movements: the Zionist movement, which sought to establish a Jewish state in Palestine, and the Arab population of Palestine, who opposed the Zionist project and sought independence for themselves. The Balfour Declaration, a controversial statement issued by the British government in 1917, further complicated the situation. The declaration expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, while also stating that nothing should be done to prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in the region. If you found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Section 7. World War II and the Holocaust. A turning point. The horrors of World War II, particularly the Holocaust, had a profound impact on the situation in Palestine and the Zionist movement. The systematic genocide of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany strengthened the resolve of many Jews to seek refuge and security in a Jewish state. The Holocaust exposed the vulnerability of Jews in a world rife with anti-Semitism and underscored the urgent need for a safe haven. The international community, grappling with the scale of Nazi atrocities, became more sympathetic to the Zionist cause. Jewish immigration to Palestine surged after the war, as Holocaust survivors and other Jews sought to rebuild their lives in what they saw as their ancestral homeland. However, this influx of Jewish immigrants further exacerbated tensions with the Arab population, who felt increasingly marginalized and fearful for their own future in Palestine. Section 8. The UN Partition Plan, a failed attempt at peace. In 1947, facing mounting pressure to resolve the increasingly volatile situation in Palestine, the newly formed United Nations proposed a plan to partition the territory into two independent states, one Jewish and one Arab. The UN Partition Plan, adopted by the UN General Assembly, aimed to create a lasting peace by dividing the land and establishing two states for two peoples. The plan allocated approximately 55% of Palestine to the Jewish state, despite the fact that Jews constituted only about 33% of the population at the time. The Arab state would receive approximately 45% of the land. Jerusalem, considered holy by all three religions, was to be placed under international control. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, viewing it as a necessary compromise to achieve statehood. However, the Arab leadership vehemently rejected the plan, arguing that it was unjust and biased in favor of the Jewish minority. The stage was set for a bloody and protracted conflict. Section 9. The Birth of Israel and the 1948 War. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, declared the establishment of the State of Israel, fulfilling the Zionist dream of a Jewish homeland after nearly 2 millennia of statelessness. However, this momentous occasion came at a heavy price: the outbreak of war. The very next day, armies from neighboring Arab states, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, invaded the newly declared state, marking the beginning of the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. This war, a defining moment in the Arab-Israeli conflict, pitted the fledgling Israeli Defense Forces against the combined might of several Arab armies. The war resulted in a decisive victory for Israel, which expanded its territory beyond the borders outlined in the UN Partition Plan. Over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes during the war, creating a Palestinian refugee crisis that continues to this day. Section 10. A conflict without an end. The legacy and future of the Israeli-Palestinian divide. The 1948 war did not bring an end to the conflict. Instead, it marked the beginning of a long and intractable struggle. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has continued for decades, marked by wars, uprisings, and failed peace negotiations. The conflict has had devastating consequences for both Israelis and Palestinians. Countless lives have been lost, generations have grown up in the shadow of violence, and peace remains elusive. The conflict has also had far-reaching implications, fueling regional instability and impacting global politics. Despite numerous attempts at peace, a lasting solution remains elusive. The core issues at the heart of the conflict, including borders, settlements, Jerusalem, security, and the right of return for Palestinian refugees, continue to divide the two sides.